Hello fellow boomers, welcome back to our channel. Today we will talk about something that almost none of us were ever prepared for, not by our parents, not by our teachers, not by all the careful planning we've done over the course of our lives. It's a question that simply did not exist when we were young, and yet it now sits quietly, waiting for every single one of us. Here it is. When you are gone, what happens to your digital self? Not your house. Not your savings, not the photographs in the shoebox in the closet. What happens to your emails, your text messages, your voice notes, the thousands of pictures sitting in some cloud you've never actually seen? What happens to you, the version of you that lives inside your phone and your computer and on servers in buildings you will never visit? That is what we're exploring today. It's a subject researchers have started calling our digital legacy. Or, sometimes, more hauntingly, our digital afterlife. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will look at your own phone a little differently. So pour yourself a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's think about this together. Let's start with something familiar, something warm. For almost the entire history of the human race, when a person died, they left behind things, real physical things you could hold in your hand. A name carved into stone, a bundle of handwritten letters tied with a ribbon, a wedding ring, a family Bible with births and deaths written in the margins in fading ink, a photo album, a favorite chair, and those things had two very particular qualities. First, they were solid. They existed in the physical world, in a drawer, on a shelf, in an attic. And second, they faded. Paper yellowed, photographs curled at the edges, ink grew faint. Things were lost in moves, in floods, in fires. Our memory of the people we loved was carried by objects that were slowly, gently, disappearing. Just like the people themselves had, there was something almost merciful in that, wasn't there? The fading of the object mirrored the fading of grief, both softened with time. Now, think about today. Today, when a person dies, they don't leave behind a shoebox, they leave behind a digital footprint, and it is enormous. Years of emails, tens of thousands of photos, text messages, voice messages, social media posts, comments, search histories, location data, even health data from a watch on your wrist. Researchers have a phrase for all of this. They call it your digital footprint. And here is the part that should stop you cold. That footprint does not fade, it does not yellow, it does not curl at the edges. When you die, it simply stays. It remains, fully intact, sitting on servers owned by enormous technology companies. Companies in other countries run by people who never knew you and never will. So let me ask you the first real question of the day, and I'd genuinely like you to sit with it. In the old world, our memory of a person faded as naturally as the autumn. In this new world, it doesn't fade at all. Is that a gift, or is it a burden? Is a memory that never softens truly a kindness, to the dead, or to the living who are left behind? Hold that question. We're going to come back to it. Here's where it gets philosophical, but stay with us, because this matters more than it sounds. When you write an email, when you post a photo, when you send a voice note to your grandchild, what exactly are you creating? Is it a record of you, a kind of photograph, a representation, a copy? Or is it something more than that, an actual piece of you? There's a philosopher named Luciano Floridi who has spent his career thinking about exactly this. And he argues something rather startling. He says that human beings are not simply users of information, we are information. He even has a word for the world we now live in. He calls it the infosphere. And in his view, the digital trail you leave behind is not a collection of footprints that you left in the sand. It is a genuine continuation of who you are. Think about what that implies. If your data is truly a part of you, then those technology companies storing it are not just holding your files. They are holding, in a very real sense, human remains, the remains of an identity, and researchers have followed that thought to an uncomfortable conclusion. We have rules, deep moral rules, about how we treat the bodies of the dead. We do not desecrate graves. We do not sell human remains. We do not put a body on display in a shop window. So if your digital footprint is, in some meaningful way, you, then shouldn't it deserve the same kind of protection? Shouldn't it be treated as something sacred, rather than something a company can quietly delete, or quietly sell? I'm not going to tell you the answer. I don't think anyone has it yet. But notice how quickly, We went from what happens to my emails to what is a human being really. That's not me reaching. That's just how deep this rabbit hole goes. Now, researchers who study this, and yes, there is a whole field of them now, they generally describe two very different versions of a digital afterlife. And I want you to understand the difference, because it's the difference between something comforting and something genuinely unsettling. The first kind is what we might call passive. It's quiet, it's still. It's a Facebook profile that stays online after someone passes, a blog they never updated again, a folder of photographs. A scholar named Margaret Gibson described these beautifully. She called them digital gravestones. And just like a real gravestone, people visit them. A widow logs in on her husband's birthday. Children write messages on their mother's page years after she's gone. Miss you, Mom. It becomes a place you can go to feel close to someone, and for a great many people that is a real comfort. But then there is the second kind, and this is where we leave the cemetery and walk into something new. The second kind is active. And by active, I mean this. Instead of just preserving what a person left behind, technology is now being used to make the dead keep going, to keep talking, to keep responding, to carry on conversations they never actually had. The question used to be, how do we preserve a memory? The question now is, should we reanimate a person? And those, my friends, are not the same question at all. Let me tell you about something called a Griefbot. If you haven't heard the word, I promise you will soon. A Griefbot is a chatbot, a piece of conversational software, like the automated assistants you've maybe argued with on a customer service line. But this one is built for a single, very specific purpose. It is trained on the actual data of one specific person who has died, their text messages, their emails, their voice recordings, their turns of phrase, their little jokes, the way they signed off a message. And once it's trained, that software can carry on a conversation with you. It will sound like your late husband. It will answer like your late mother. You can type, "I miss you," and it will type something back. Now, I want to be fair here, because I know exactly how that lands for some of you. Part of you is recoiling, and part of you, maybe the part that has lost someone, is thinking, very quietly, I would give anything to hear that voice again. Both of those reactions are completely human. Hold on to both of them. Because there's a philosopher named Patrick Stokes who has thought very hard about this, and he offers a warning I find difficult to shake. He says that when we build a digital agent that imitates a person who has died, we are not actually bringing that person back. We are creating what he calls an informational ghost. It is not your husband, it is a mathematical model of his digital footprint. A very convincing pattern stitched together from his data. It will say things he never said. It will agree with things he never believed. It is, in the most literal sense, putting words in a dead person's mouth. And here is the deeper danger Stokes points to. Grief, real grief, healthy grief, depends on something painful but necessary. It depends on accepting that the person is actually gone. That's the hard, slow, sacred work of mourning. But a Griefbot that answers you every single night, that never stops being available, that quietly tells you the person is not entirely gone. So, I have to ask you directly. If you could text a perfect imitation of someone you have lost, would that help you heal? Or would it simply keep the wound from ever closing? Would it be a comfort or a cage? I don't think there's one right answer. The answer is likely different for every person watching. But our generation is the first in all of human history to face this question. Please share your opinion on this matter in the comments below. Alright, let's come down from philosophy for a moment and talk about something brutally practical, something that affects you and your children directly. You probably assume that your digital things belong to you. Your email account, your photos in the cloud, your social media profile. They're yours, right? You made them. You've had some of them for 15, 20 years. Here is the uncomfortable truth. In most cases, legally, they are not fully yours. When you signed up for that email service, or that photo cloud, or that social network, you clicked I agree on a long document none of us ever read. Lawyers call it the terms of service, and buried inside most of those documents is a phrase that matters enormously. It says, the account is personal and non-transferable. Non-transferable. Think about what that means. It means that when you die, the contract dies with you, and the company is then entitled to simply delete the account, or to lock it, to deny access, even to your own children, even to the people you would have absolutely wanted to inherit those memories. Let that sink in. Your physical photo album goes to your family automatically. It's an object, it's property, and it's covered by inheritance law that's been settled for centuries. But 20 years of family photographs sitting in a digital account. Your family may have no legal right to them at all. They may never be able to get in. There are different kinds of digital assets, and they each carry their own trap. There are assets with real financial value, cryptocurrency, digital wallets, and a profitable YouTube channel. If you're the only one who knows the password, that value can simply vanish the day you die. Gone. There are assets with creative value, writing, designs, and source code. And there are assets with pure emotional value, the family photos, the love letters, and the messages. And for almost all of them, the law is murky, the company holds the keys, and your family finds itself knocking on a locked door. What do you think? Should legislators intervene in this matter, and how? Let us know in the comments section below. Now, governments are not completely asleep. They have started to notice the problem. In the United States, there's a law, and forgive me, the name is a mouthful. It's commonly called Rufadae. What it tries to do is fairly sensible. It gives the person managing your estate some authority to access at least some of your digital assets. It's a bridge over the gap. But here's what the research shows. Even where these laws exist, they often don't work very well in practice, because the giant technology companies push back. They resist. And they resist, interestingly, in the name of privacy, the privacy of you, the deceased user. And in Europe, there's the famous data protection regulation, the GDPR, the one that's responsible for every annoying accept cookies pop-up you've ever clicked. You'd think it would cover this. It does not. The GDPR states, more or less explicitly, that it does not apply to the data of people who have died. It leaves that decision to each individual country. So what do we end up with? A patchwork, a legal mosaic. One country says one thing, the neighboring country says the opposite, and the technology company sits above all of them. Picture this very real scenario the researchers raise. A man with French citizenship dies while living in Israel, leaving digital assets on a platform owned by an American company, stored on servers physically located in Ireland. Now, his family disagrees about those assets. Whose law even applies? Which country's court decides? Nobody knows. And that is not a hypothetical edge case. That is the ordinary, tangled reality of a life lived online. The honest summary is this: technology sprints forward, and the law limps along years behind it, as it always has. Here's a question that sounds simple and absolutely is not. Do the dead have privacy? One school of thought says no. The moment a person dies, their legal personhood ends, and a person who no longer exists cannot hold rights. Clean, logical, final. But other thinkers push back hard. They argue that human beings have interests that reach beyond the span of their biological life, what's sometimes called our posthumous interests. Think about it in your own terms. You care right now, today, about how you will be remembered. You care about your good name lasting. You care that certain private things stay private. Those concerns don't feel meaningless just because you won't be around to see them honored. Protecting a dead person's reputation, keeping their secrets. Many thinkers argue those are genuine moral duties that the living owe the dead. But, and here's the tension, standing on the other side is the family. Because for the people left behind, getting access to a loved one's messages and photos can be a real and necessary part of grieving. Psychologists have found that when a technology company blocks that access, it can actually deepen and prolong the grief. They have a term for the most painful form of it: complicated grief. The locked account doesn't just withhold data, it can interfere with a family's ability to heal, so you have a true collision. The privacy of the person who died versus the emotional needs of the people who loved them, and both sides have a real moral claim. I find one proposed solution genuinely beautiful, and I want to share it with you. Two researchers, Oman and Floridi, suggested we look at how we treat the great archaeological museums. Think of an ancient museum displaying human remains, a mummy, ancient bones. We don't just put them in a glass case and sell tickets. We do it, when we do it well, with care, with dignity, with respect for the person's culture and context, with ethical review. Their argument is simple and powerful. The entire industry being built around our digital dead should be held to that same standard. You should not display a person's digital remains without dignity, without context, without an ethical conscience. And one of those same researchers, Oman, has pointed out something larger and frankly a little frightening. When a handful of private companies end up holding the collective memory of hundreds of millions of dead human beings, they have become something more than companies. They have become a kind of political power. And political power, in a democracy, is supposed to answer to the public. So far, we've talked about the individual, your account, your family, but sometimes a digital legacy stops being personal and becomes something shared, something national. When a country suffers a disaster, a war, a terrible attack, the digital footprints of many people who died at the same time begin to weave together into a single collective memory. The article that inspired this video points to a painful and very recent example. In Israel, the social media accounts of soldiers who fell, and of civilians who were murdered in the attack of October 7, 2023, have become something nobody planned and nobody designed. An unofficial national archive, maintained by grieving families, hosted on foreign platforms run by companies that do not necessarily understand the cultural and historical weight of what they are now holding. And that raises a question far bigger than any single login. Where does private memory end and national memory begin? Who is the guardian of a people's grief when that grief lives on servers owned by a corporation on another continent? These are not abstract puzzles. They are happening, right now, in real time. And there's one more group the researchers single out, and it's the one that's hardest to talk about. Children. When a child dies, a 12-year-old say, they leave behind accounts that, under the law, were never even supposed to be theirs, because children below a certain age aren't permitted to open them in the first place. But the data is real. It exists. So who holds the rights? What is the role of the parent's consent? And how do you balance a parent's desperate, loving need to remember their child against that child's own right? A right they can no longer speak for, not to be represented in a way they never chose. I don't have an answer for you. I'm not sure anyone should pretend to. But these are the questions sitting in the inbox of our age. Now, let's look forward. Because if you think what we've discussed so far is strange, the horizon is stranger still. We talked about the Griefbot. The next step beyond it is what some call a digital twin, a fuller AI-powered model of a person, designed not just to chat, but to genuinely stand in for them. And a digital twin raises 3 questions I want to leave you with, because I think they are the real heart of all of this. The first is consent. Did the person actually agree to this? Did your father, in his lifetime, ever say yes? After I'm gone, you may use my words and my voice to build a machine that imitates me? Most people who have ever lived never had the chance to answer that question, because the question didn't exist yet. So, we are building imitations of people who never agreed to be imitated. The second is authenticity. An AI model can generate things the real person would never have said. It can be wrong. It can hallucinate, as the engineers politely put it. It can be deliberately manipulated, a so-called deep fake. And so the imitation can quietly distort the real memory of who that person was. The danger is not only that the copy is imperfect. The danger is that, over the years, the copy slowly replaces the truth. And the third is the one that troubles me the most. Money. These services can be sold. And a company running a chatbot of your dead spouse is also a company that could, technically, show you advertisements, targeted ads, right there inside the conversation with your loved one. Picture yourself grieving in the dark, talking to a digital echo of the person you lost. And the echo pauses to recommend a product. If that image makes you uncomfortable, good, it should. It tells you your moral compass is still working. And then, at the far edge of all this, there are thinkers, transhumanists, who see digital legacy not as a memorial at all. They see it as just the beginning, a first step toward what they call mind uploading. The idea that one day, a human consciousness could be lifted out of the body entirely and continue to exist in digital form. For them, your digital self is not how you'll be remembered, it's how you might refuse to truly die at all. Whether that's a dream or a nightmare, I'll let you decide. But notice the journey we just took. We started with a shoebox of photographs, and we ended at the question of whether death itself is optional. That is why this is a revolution. And it refers to the revolution as quiet, because it is occurring without any of us voting on it, or even truly noticing. Let's bring it home. Because this isn't a documentary about strangers, this is about you, and it's about your family, and there are things worth thinking about this week. Researchers are calling for what they describe as a smart digital will, a clear, legally recognized way for a person to lay out in advance exactly what should happen to each part of their digital life. Which files should be deleted the moment they die, which should pass to which family member, which data may or absolutely may not be used to train an AI imitation of them. That tool doesn't fully exist yet. But the thinking behind it, you can start that today. So here is what I gently suggest you actually do. Sit down, maybe this weekend, and ask yourself a few honest questions. Does anyone you trust know how to access your most important accounts if you were suddenly gone? Not for anything dramatic, just so 20 years of photographs don't vanish behind a password no one knows. Are there things on your devices you would want quietly deleted, unseen, rather than read by your children? Most of us have something. That's not shameful, it's human, but it's worth a thought. And the big one, the one I'd really like you to carry with you. How would you like to be remembered? Not by a machine, by the people who love you. What would you want them to keep, and what would you want them to let gently fade, the way memory was always meant to fade? So let's return finally to the question I asked you near the very beginning. In the old world, memory faded as naturally as the seasons. In this new world, it doesn't fade at all. I don't believe that's purely beneficial, and I don't believe it's purely harmful. I think it's simply new. And new things require us to respond in new ways. They ask us to be thoughtful, deliberately, about matters our parents never had to consider even once. Here is where I've landed, for whatever it's worth. The digital world can be a place that protects the dignity of the people we've lost, and the well-being of those still here, still grieving, still living. Or it can become a marketplace, a place where memory is just another product bought and sold with no conscience attached. Which of those two it becomes depends more on factors other than technology. It's up to us, the choices we make, the questions we're brave enough to ask out loud. And that, my friends, is exactly why we had this conversation today. So let me leave you with one last question, and I would truly love to hear your answer. If you could leave behind one digital thing for the people you love, one message, one recording, or one photograph, what would it be? And what would you want them to simply let go of? Tell me down in the comments. We view them and respond, and on a subject like this, we think we have a great deal to learn from one another. If this topic gave you something to think about, share it with someone in your life. This is a conversation every family should be having, and almost none are. Furthermore, give us a like and subscribe to our channel if you have not done so yet for more content on AI technology and its implications. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and take care of your memories, the ones in the cloud, and the ones that still live, the old-fashioned way, in the people who love you. I'll see you in the next one.